Picture this. Art, those timeless masterpieces we've always admired, suddenly transforming into cold, hard cash in the hands of cunning thieves. The 1970s witnessed an unprecedented surge in art heists, a phenomenon that reshaped our understanding of crime and culture alike. Dive into the captivating world of heists with the latest film, The Mastermind, starring Josh O'Connor, which dramatizes a botched art robbery inspired by real events during a turbulent decade. But here's where it gets controversial. Were these thieves merely opportunists, or were they anti-establishment heroes challenging a broken system? Let's unpack this wild era step by step so even newcomers to art history can follow along. In May 1972, two individuals entered the Worcester Art Museum in Massachusetts and swiftly departed with four priceless paintings by Paul Gauguin, Pablo Picasso, and what was initially thought to be a Rembrandt, though experts now believe it was created by one of Rembrandt's pupils. Check out this insightful link, https:/eu.telegram.com/entertainment/2022 05/Christian Bale's message, Bradley Cooper in American Hust, Wright Rembrandt St. Bartholomew, Worcester, 956261500. They held a group of high school students hostage at gunpoint and wounded a security guard in the process. The stolen artworks were valued at a staggering $2 million, £1.5 million, earning the incident a spot among the largest art robberies in modern times, according to the New York Times. https://www.nytimes.com/19/4. Archives, to shoot a museum guard and flee with four paintings. Mega. Intriguingly, some sources suggest this event may have influenced a much more notorious crime nearby, the 1990 burglary at Boston's Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, where $500 million, £370 million in art vanished, marking the most expensive theft in U.S. history, and it's still unsolved to this day. SpectrumNews1.com/MA/Worcester/2024/18 Remembering Worcester Art Museum Heist. The Worcester Caper was masterminded by seasoned crook Florian Al Monday, but it unraveled quickly when his hired accomplices bragged about their feat in a local tavern. Within a month, the paintings were recovered from a Rhode Island pig farm and returned to the museum. eutelegram.com/story/news/Worcester/2016-10-27. Author recalls bumbling heist at Worcester Art Museum /246340900. Filmmaker Kelly Reichardt, director of The Mastermind, shared with the BBC that Monday had once fronted a band, and she even owns a 45 RPM record of his music. Her movie, hitting U.S. theaters this weekend, draws loosely from the Worcester incident and the broader rash of art thefts throughout the 1970s. The Mastermind has earned praise from The Guardian's critic Peter Bradshaw for stripping away the glamour from heist tales. https://www.theguardian.com film/2025 May 23rd. The Mastermind Review. Josh O'Connor, Kelly Reichardt, offering a grounded, thoughtful take that contrasts sharply with flashy blockbusters. Think of films like the 1999 The Thomas Crown Affair, where Pierce Brosnan's suave millionaire pulls off a stylish museum raid. Those portray art theft as almost elegant. Reichardt flips the script with a deliberate, meticulous pace, focusing on the chaos that erupts. Josh O'Connor portrays J.B. Mooney, the operation's brains, a middle-class, educated individual who dropped out of art school and now scrapes by as an unemployed carpenter in Massachusetts. Pressured by his wealthy parents, a retired judge, Bill Camp, and a socialite, Hope Davis, to settle debts, J.B. scouts the fictional Framingham Art Museum for a potential score. But things spiral when one of his accomplices questions how they'll fence the recognizable paintings. Highlighting the inherent risks, Reichardt discovered the Worcester Heists' 50th anniversary article while crafting her prior film, Showing Up, 2022, a comedic drama about clashing sculptors, and it ignited her next project. She crafted JB's character to embody deeper themes. The political ideas, the genre ideas, these are things you think about and study. But then you have to let go of all that and concentrate on the details of the film you're making with what your character's situation is like, she explains. If you start to get down into the minutia of those things and don't concentrate on the bigger strokes, then by nature, it becomes de-glamorized. Recalling the 1972 event stirred Reichardt's memories of numerous smash-and-grab incidents dominating headlines back then. Just months later, in Canada, the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts fell victim to the Skylight Caper, where 3 armed robbers absconded with $2 million, 1.5 million pounds worth of paintings, jewels, and artifacts. The biggest heist in the country's history. https:/cultmtl.com/2022/09 The greatest art heist in Canadian history happened in Montreal 50 years ago today. Across the ocean, in 1976, thieves swiped 119 of Pablo Picasso's final creations from France's Palais des Papes during a special exhibition. https://1976-02-1archives/119 of Picasso's last works stolen from Avignon Palace.html. Then there's the case of Rose Dugdale, an Oxford-educated heiress who became a radical Irish Republican. Featured in Joe Lawler and Christine Malloy's 2023 thriller Baltimore, Dugdale, alongside IRA affiliates, snatched 19 masterpieces by artists like Johannes Vermeer and Peter Paul Rubens from Ireland's Rusborough House in 1974, ransoming them for the release of imprisoned comrades. Lawler noted to Cine Europa, https://cineeuropa.org/even/interview 457846. There was something incredibly well organized about it and really badly thought out. They are so driven but completely blind to the wider political reality. Art theft isn't new, of course. It's a tale as old as civilization itself. From pirates seizing Hans Memling's The Last Judgment in 1473 off a ship headed to Florence, /website www.photos.com/photos, the 10 wildest art heists from around the world, to Vincenzo Perugia, a disgruntled former Louvre employee, stealing the Mona Lisa in 1911 and serving just 6 months in jail upon capture, website www.plant://podcast/judgment. I've earned your trust. I'm telling you these stories every day on the world. Nothing changes. Just a reminder. Today is someone saving the past. Every good project can never be perfected, but every good project does make it better, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. Let's move on to the good times. Hans Memling, a disgruntled former Louvre employee, stealing the Mona Lisa in 1911 and serving just 6 months in jail upon capture, https://website. It's a tale as old as civilization itself. From pirates seizing Hans Memling, The Last Judgment / pointing to the 1977 debut of Antiques Roadshow, the popular BBC series where experts evaluate treasures, Flynn observes, it's a cultural change where we start to see works of art as the equivalent of money. Criminals also noticed museums' weak defenses, turning artworks into tempting targets. Early 1970s reports highlighted funding crises in institutions. www.nytimes.com/1973-1209 archives, museums cut back in funds crisis, other findings of study old.html. And security reductions amid soaring inflation. https www.nytimes.com/1974 archives, inflation forcing museum cutbacks, deficit for museum cities roll.html. Smaller burglaries, like the 1961 theft of Francisco Goya's portrait of the Duke of Wellington from London's National Gallery, and the 1966 disappearance of 3 Rembrandts from Dulwich Picture Gallery, proved how easy it could be to snatch paintings undetected. Security staff, like the wounded guard in Worcester, seldom carried firearms, and as humorously depicted in The Mastermind, they were often retirees or acid heads with minimal training, per Reichart. She adds, museums used to have these cool circular drives out front, which made the getaway pretty handy. While the film includes an FBI art crime investigator modeled after the real Robert Whitman, who reclaimed $300 million, $225 million in art. /bbc.com/programs/W3CT5P64. The FBI's art crime team wasn't established until 2004. edition.cnn.com/2025/style. FBI art crime team wasn't established until 2004. Flynn points out that while museums lagged in recognizing threats, thieves often lacked savvy, too. The history of art crime and major art heists has been one of opportunist idiots who don't really understand the nature of works of art themselves, he says, noting their fragility, or indeed the market for works of art. Then, these guys suddenly discover, to their horror, that the objects they've stolen are very difficult things to shift. And this is the part most people miss. The romanticization of art robbers in media, which might have fueled the fire. The 1960s and 70s saw films like 1964's Topkapi, a group of thieves targeting a palace in Istanbul, 1966's How to Steal a Million, Audrey Hepburn and Peter O'Toole's altruistic scheme, and Gambit, Michael Caine as a clever burglar snatching an antique bust, portraying these criminals as charming outlaws. Historian Susan Ronald, an expert on art crime, ties this to the era's anti-authority vibe during the Vietnam War and Nixon era. Part of the appeal of these characters is their outsmarting the establishment, she explains. The fact that art heists usually don't involve private individuals makes it more acceptable. It's an institution, and there's something quite daring about it. This glorification bred misconceptions, like viewing heists as victimless crimes. We don't take it seriously enough, Flynn argues, which is why the criminals quite often get ridiculous, short sentences when you consider that they've committed a serious cultural crime. But because it's art, we don't think it's so important. The Mastermind challenges these stereotypes head-on. From Michael Caine in Gambit to Alain Delon in Jean-Pierre Melville's Le Cercle Rouge, 1970, art thieves were often depicted as alluring heartthrobs. Reichart subverts this with J.B. These guys are actually such jerks. They're misogynist. They can afford to break away and do what they want. They're not pinned down with kids. Just the idea of being able to be the outlaw is a privilege, but in the end, you root for them. It's just a narrative thing. The film provides a balanced view through J.B.'s patient wife Terry, Alana Haim, and skeptical former classmate Maud, Gaby Hoffman, who endure his recklessness. This adds an added, more objective look at him at times through the women in J.B.'s life, who he counts on, who are taxed by his freedom. Personal freedom being a huge theme in American politics today, but at what cost? And who carries the weight of that? Today, museum heists are rarer, as criminals realize artworks are essentially non-fungible objects, hard to sell without detection, per Flynn. Yet recent U.S. government funding cuts, https:/web.nytime/2025/16 artsdesign/museums-trump-funding-cuts.html could weaken security once more. Heritage consultant Vernon Rapley warns, it's not just security that will suffer. It will be the very fabric of the buildings as well. If you don't invest in your roofs and windows, then ultimately, weather and climate change are probably a greater risk to objects, in fact, than criminals are. The Mastermind arrives in U.S. cinemas on October 17th and UK cinemas on October 24th. If this piece intrigued you, subscribe to the Essential List newsletter, https://cloud.email.bbc.com/the Essential List newsletter, at BBC Team, at Medium, on-site, apto, at bbc.com, at Link Origin, at Campaign, Essential List, at Campaign Type, owned 2020. A curated mix of stories, videos, and must-see news delivered twice weekly. For more BBC Culture content, connect with us on Facebook, https://BBC Culture, and Instagram, https://BBC_culture. What do you think? Are art heists a thrilling rebellion against the elite, or just selfish acts that diminish our shared cultural heritage? Do you agree that short sentences for thieves downplay the serious cultural crime Flynn mentions? Or is there a counterpoint here? Share your views in the comments. Let's debate.